Hello and welcome to the Times Herald Media Channel in this edition of Politically Direct. My name is Stan Husky. I'll be your host for the day. We're happy to have with us today State Representative Jim Cox and State Senator David Argel. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being on today. I'm stumbling here because I'm so excited about today's show. As you know, a couple of weeks ago we had in State Representative Seth Grove and State Rep Carrie Benninghoff to talk about House Bill 1189. State Representative Mike Vereb was here as well, but he kind of straddled the fence for us, said he was on board with both bills, co-sponsors of both bills. I really appreciate you guys coming down today. I know it's not an easy commute for either of you, so greatly appreciate it, and thanks for being on today.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
We'll just jump right in. First thing they said basically was, or at least State Representative Benninghoff said was, who, by the way, for our readers is, or audience, is the head of the Finance Committee for the House. Numbers just don't add up for 76. Is that true?
That's the claim anyway, right?
That's the claim.
Well, if you had asked me this question 2 or so years ago, I would have said, I'm not sure, I think so. But over the course of the last year and a half, we've been able to, through Senator Argel's help, actually through our House Appropriations Committee, through the Independent Fiscal Office, we've got a good set of numbers that when we moved from House Bill 1776 and Senate Bill 1400 from last session, when we were preparing to introduce House Bill 76 and Senate Bill 76, we had the information from those three reports that helped us craft the new numbers that we need. And that is what ultimately generated the report from the Department of Revenue that says we're actually bringing in $2 billion too much under the existing structure that we have in the plan.
That just begs the question, because Benninghoff cited also the same Independent Finance Office.
Correct.
How are we getting, for our audience, how are we getting two sets of numbers? It either works or doesn't work.
Right. Well, as I mentioned, those studies were from last session. Those sessions were from the language in 1776 with the existing, with the sales tax numbers where they were, and specifically the personal income tax level. We had looked at, we were hoping to do 4.01 was the number we kept on going back and forth with. That's what we introduced with last session. As you know, this session we have the personal income tax at 4.34. And so that bump allowed us to close the gap. There were some other drafting errors that were pointed out that helped me close the door on some exemptions that I wasn't meaning to grant in some language, and that allowed us to get here. I've got the Department of Revenue report from this June 2013, that says we are, here it says, we're bringing in $14.2 billion. We need to bring in about $11.8 billion. So even if you take out the 1.4 that they keep saying, oh, they're short, right, general impact to the, or general fund impact, all that, even if you correct that, we're still about $2 billion over in the amount of revenue we raise. I'm confident we'll bring in the revenue we need. It just needs to be tweaked and moved around to show that it's revenue neutral.
And Stan, I would say to any of our critics, if they find a mistake, give us a chance to fix it. Bring it up for a vote. Bring it up for a debate. Just don't stick it in a trash can somewhere. Right. You know, right. Bring it out and allow amendments to be offered. I mean, you know, you've seen the growth in this bill. A year ago, we had 13 co-sponsors in the Senate. We're now up to 23. Jim and his friends had 60-some in the House. They're now in the 90s. Right. I mean, we're in striking distance. I think there is tremendous support for this idea of killing off the school district property tax. It has to be one of the most unfair taxes we could think of, and move toward income, move toward sales, but give us a chance. Don't just sit there and say it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Bring it up at a meeting, cast the votes, and allow the bill to move forward.
Well, and now it sounds like Benninghoff wants to introduce his own bill. Yet a third bill. Why are we polluting the waters here? What do you think is the reason why, number one, Benninghoff wants to introduce yet another bill, and number two, why he doesn't want to see 76 come out of committee?
Well, I don't know why he's introducing his own bill other than to say, hey, here's another possible solution. I've never said, Senator Argel has never said that, you know, we've got the corner on the market for a possible solution to the property tax situation that we're facing. What we have said is we feel that a comprehensive approach such as this, something that goes after the heart of the problem, which is people aren't owning their own homes even once they pay their mortgage off, we're saying let's provide home ownership for the long term. Huge economic effects there, huge stability in home ownership. That's good for Pennsylvania. all of these other things, we take the position that, we're just nibbling around the edges. We're just kind of touching here, touching there, and you might give them a little relief here and there. We're trying to go to the heart of the problem. Senator Argall, in town hall after town hall that we've done together, has really put it well. We're trying to put a stake through the heart of the beast. Home ownership has to mean something, and right now, it's a big question mark.
I mean, you remember, past events dating all the way back to Governor Casey and before, people tried to tweak the property tax. That's not what the people wanted. They wanted it eliminated because they're always afraid that what's happening is they'll get a partial decrease in their property taxes, a permanent increase in their other taxes, and in a few years they'll end up getting gobbled up by all of them. That's not what they want.
Exactly.
That's why the elimination of the tax, I think, again, bring it up to the House, bring it up to the Senate, let the members decide, and I think that you will see that we are in much better shape than we were a year ago.
Now, I brought this up. You have the companion bill in the Senate.
Yes.
And I brought this up and was pretty much told that I was wrong, and I probably am. But does it make it a lot easier for the fact that there are two bills simultaneously coming through the House and Senate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we're not sitting back and waiting and saying, oh, well, let's see what the House is doing. And the House
Right.
isn't waiting for us. We decided at his suggestion, he came to me a year ago and asked me to introduce an identical bill. And remember, too, this isn't Jim's bill. This isn't my bill. This is a bill drafted by, what was it, over 80 different
It's over 80 now.
statewide taxpayer groups. It's their bill.
Right. Is there any way we could find or get something that we could just publish that says, here's 1189 and here's 76? Here are the bullet points of both of them, and let, I guess I want to say let the people decide, but, at least let them make some kind of educated,
I think there are probably some summaries available from
Yeah.
from the author of 1189, Seth. He'd probably be willing to provide you with a summary of sorts. We can certainly match that. I've got documents I could leave with you today that are bullet points on what it does. If you need something different, we can certainly work that out. But the difference is, one of them is, this is House Bill 76. It's 130 some odd pages. You take House Bill 1189, it probably looks something like this.
And
if
under
that.
ours, it would be statewide elimination. Under his, it would be 500 different possibilities depending on 500 different sets of
School
voters
districts.
and 500 different school districts.
I keep hearing 500.
There used to
it's
be 501. The
Right.
two merged out in western Pennsylvania.
Okay.
There was a bankruptcy.
All right.
And one of the things I'd like to just briefly touch on, I know we're not here to talk about 1189, but I want people to understand one thing. I had my staff run a few numbers. I've got 50 school districts here where we took the total, and the numbers are dated because the Department of Education numbers seem to fall a few years behind. But taking the 2010-2011 total property taxes levied in each of these school districts, I said, okay, based on that and based on some income tax numbers that are out there based on Department of Education statistics, what level of earned income tax would we need in order to eliminate their school property taxes? Now, I know they've been given a menu of different options, but let's say they say we want to focus on the earned income tax. There are some school districts up in Monroe County where the property tax issue has reached huge crisis levels. There are 4,000 empty homes up there where people just walked away from their mortgages, taxes aren't being paid. That's a crisis area. Pocono Mountain School District, they'd have to have a 13.01% earned income tax to fill the $126 million that they're currently bringing in under their school property taxes. When you go out to Berks County, which Senator Argall and I represent jointly, you look at a school district like Wilson School District. Right now, $53 million in school property taxes. We'd have to add 5.65% to an EIT, an earned income tax. That's 5.65% on what people are making.
Right.
That's more than double what we have on personal income tax now. Are people going to want that?
And Stan, I mean, you asked to and I think it's great that there's different bills under consideration. I'm glad that anybody is paying attention to this issue. But I would ask, two questions when doing the comparison. How many co-sponsors do you have? Does it represent Republicans and Democrats from a wide perspective? We certainly have that. And how many local taxpayer groups have signed up to say this is our idea?
Right.
That is what we have been able to bring to the table.
Well, I have, and as I'm sure both of you had, received a lot of letters, emails, phone calls. Some of them are very sad. It's gotten to the point where there's something absolutely needs to be done. This one I received from a gentleman, and again, I'm getting these from all over the state. So he basically sent me the state constitution. And it says that the General Assembly shall provide for the maintenance and support of a thorough and efficient system of public education to serve the needs of the Commonwealth. So can we really go to a system that is controlled by, or are we not being illegal now because basically our school districts are being controlled by the local school districts?
Jim has heard me say this at countless town hall meetings. I cannot imagine any judge who would read the Constitution and say that what we have today is fair and equitable. The system we have now is crazy. It's, how much do you pay in school taxes? Well, that depends on how old is your house, when was it reassessed, did you remember to fix the hole in the roof? I mean, that's not the way to fund the public schools. That's a system we've been stuck with since the 1830s, and I think it's time to scrap that, throw it away in the trash can, and start from scratch. That's why I like this plan.
On the issue of the delegation of authority, they have said, because people have said that to me as well, they've said, you are not fulfilling your role as a General Assembly in providing for the education. You've shifted that off to the local school district. And that's some of that same type of thing continues with House Bill 1189. It keeps the local funding. That's the primary source of funding for schools. And what we're saying is, what I'm looking at and saying, by and large, we've got school districts that are growing their budgets on an average of 7% every year. Our economy is not growing at 7% a year. And yet, when you look at the last 10, 15 years, you've got a 7% growth level. I understand some of the exemptions and closing the doors on what they're allowed to raise their budget for. Those have been closed, and we're starting to see some benefit there. But 7% versus the true index that the economy is growing at, they've not been responsible by and large. There are some school districts that have been, but by and large they've been irresponsible. They've shown the taxpayer that they're just going to keep coming back for more. I'm looking and saying the last time we had a personal income tax increase was 2003, 10 years ago. Do I like that? No, I don't think we should have done it back then. But we're on the state level are a lot more hesitant to increase taxes because we get that lashback. We get that feedback very quickly, more so than school board members and anyone else ever does. That's the reality of things. Local control, it hasn't worked when it comes to the funding of the schools. We're leaving them with a local control for curriculum, which is really what where local control matters. I'm not going to tell a rural school district they have to study urban science or urban affairs, or vice versa. I'm
Right.
saying you still determine what to do with your dollars. We're just going to tell you how many you're going to get.
Right. Which I think is key, and the reason I brought up Benninghoff introducing another bill in 1189 is to the public, it seems, and what I'm hearing is it just seems like it's just another way just to kick the can down the road.
How many of my constituents in the 6 counties that I represent are like, what is taking you guys so long? And what I point out to them is we've never been this close. I mean, I need 3 more votes in the Senate. He needs 10 more votes in the House. We're in much better position than we were this time a year ago. But, we still have some work to do.
But a co-sponsorship doesn't mean a guaranteed vote.
No, but I think it would be a very dangerous political game for someone to co-sponsor a bill and then vote against it. I wouldn't want to have to explain that one to my constituents.
You'd be playing chicken with your political career.
Right.
I want to point out something on the political side of things. Somebody pointed out to me not too long ago, since 2005, just 8 years ago, we have exchanged 162 members in the House. The Senate has had some turnover, not the same level, but we have 162 new members.
Well, there's a good reason for that.
There's a good reason for that. People don't like what they see. Some people have retired under pressure, whatever. Bottom line, where I'm going with this is 162 new faces. I know a lot of those people that ran on property tax relief or reform or elimination. 2005 was the first big discussion we had on this. 2008 was the second chance we had. I was in the House. David was still in the House at that point. Yeah. And a bill came up, another property tax bill came up, and Representative Rohr put an amendment on with this concept attached to it. It was an up or down vote on the amendment, and it failed at that point. Democrat-controlled House, dynamic of people saying, I don't want to vote for something. If I don't like it, I can't fix it. It's take it or leave it. It's really a this is what it is. Two things about this. Number one, we've got a bill that can take amendments. We can make adjustments to meet concerns of people. So that's a huge benefit. Number two, we've got 162 new faces.
Including, I mean, this is an issue that we never got any help out of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh before.
Right.
They've had some nasty reassessment battles. We now have voters and representatives and senators from Philadelphia and Pittsburgh saying to us for the first time, how can we help you? Because they're beginning to hear the same kind of complaints that we've heard for a long time.
Right.
And they're coming on as co-sponsors.
And that's good to hear. And the 162 turnover, the new faces that you're talking about now, was because of the middle of the night pay raises. And I'm telling you, what I'm hearing now is that if this doesn't get done, you might see 162 new faces, because it's the
number
people
one
are
issue.
fed up.
It's the number one issue in my 6 counties, absolutely.
You're going to have a problem, though, I think, or not a problem, but how are you going to push it through? You have pension reform that needs to get through. You have a transportation bill that needs to get through. You have a lot of big issues that you're going to have to deal with when you start back up, September 24th?
Yes. We just
how do we get this to the forefront?
Well, I think by working the members one-on-one like we've been doing for several months, and with them hearing from their constituents back home. I mean, how many people are expected to come to Harrisburg on September 24th to meet their senator, to meet their representative, to talk about this issue?
That's the filibuster.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that help us to move this issue forward.
Great. Gentlemen, I really appreciate you being on today. I always like to give my guests the last word. With anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to get across?
I'd just like to say, regardless of what people begin to hear and these other bills that might serve as distractions, I remain committed to property tax elimination. I think it's the way we have to go for the reasons I laid out at the beginning. Home ownership has to mean something, and as long as we've got a property tax like this, home ownership is not a certainty, and we are not allowing people to be secure in their homes, which is another constitutional mandate. We need to leave them alone. They pay off their home. We need to ensure through a bill like House Bill 76 or Senate Bill 76, we don't care which one it is. We just want it to get across the finish line. But something like this needs to happen to make sure people can actually own their homes once and for all.
Senator?
As much as people hate the school district property tax, as much as they know it's unfair, I always try to point out to them that, we're fighting a battle for, again, the first time since the 1830s to really change this. I never say this is going to be easy. There are some powerful statewide groups fighting against us every day, but we're not giving up, and we're not going to give up until we make this happen.
Name two of those groups.
PSEA would be one. School Boards Association would be another.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, once again, thank you very much for being on. I'd like to invite you back if we're still talking about this in November, maybe December, sometime in there, you come back and see me.
All right.
Sounds good.
That'd be great. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.